there, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and here I am in the car, headed to a little comic book show held here in the Baltimore area. It is put on by Clandestine Comics, and this is a comic book show that I frequently show you on this channel. It has two locations, one in Hunt Valley, Maryland, the other one in Laurel, Maryland. This month, it's going to be up in Hunt Valley, and it's a little bit more of a drive for me, but that's okay. We're going to go up. We're going to go see what I can find. I'm still in recovery mode after the Baltimore Comic-Con. That took a big chunk out of me, out of my wallet with all the autographs and all the books I got signed. Well, we're going to go up there today. We're going to work on some small stuff, maybe look for those remaining Invaders books and see if I can find something, maybe a good key that I can invest in. We'll find out. So I will do a little bit of footage up there. I'll film a little bit, and then we'll come back home and we'll do a little show and tell. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I just finished up at the show at Hunt Valley, Maryland. I'm headed home. Once I get home, we'll do a little show and tell, but I hope you enjoyed some of that footage from inside the show. There were a lot of great books there. I had fun looking for Invaders books and maybe some keys, and I had fun maybe talking about some pretty big books I'm looking to trade. So stay tuned and we'll do a wrap-up once I get home.
2 hours later.
All right, so again, I had a great time at the Clandestine Comic Book Show. There were a lot of pretty good dealers there. They had a lot of great books, but I didn't go in with the guns a-blazing looking to buy some big key. I was looking at small stuff because when this show happened, it's only been about a month since the Baltimore Comic-Con, and I spent a lot of money getting books signed and then submitting a lot of books to CGC. So I was looking for small stuff. There's about 4 to 5 issues of The Invaders that I still want to find in pretty high grade. Doesn't have to be perfect, but still really high grade. And I wasn't having any luck. You might have seen in the footage there a couple of times when I was looking at some of those Invaders books, but they didn't have the books I was looking for, the ones I need, and 2, the conditions just were not there. So then I revert back to looking at some other things. There's a lot of great stuff, and I'm going, what should I get? I was going to pick up something, maybe not spend a lot of money, but what would I get? What was I really looking for? And then I had to kind of focus in because this particular Sunday is an extra day at work. We have MET at Amazon, so I would have to be in later that afternoon. So I didn't want to linger too long there, but then I realized I really wasn't finding anything. I'm just doing laps and I can't find the Invaders books. What else am I looking for? So I definitely reverted back to some of the dealers that I know that have really good books. So I ended up going back to one of the dealers that I've bought from before. They have a comic book shop down in Crofton, Maryland, and I think they just recently opened up a second location. But I went to them and they had some pretty good books. Prices sometimes can be a little high on some of it. Sometimes it's a pretty decent price, but they always seem like they cut you a price break when I was there. And I ended up getting one book at the show today. And I'll talk about some of the other ones that I was looking at, but I did pick up this, first time I've ever owned it. It is the first issue of What If, the original What If series from Marvel. What if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four? Never had this book. Honestly, I've never read this book because I've never had it. I've never seen it in a reprint of anything I've ever owned. So I'm actually kind of excited about this. And they had a $35 price tag on there, and they cut me a deal for $25. This seems like it's in really nice shape. The square-bound book right here has pretty sharp corners. It's actually a book, initially I might even think about grading at some point. I haven't looked up prices on that, but this is a book that I knew I wanted in my PC. But you guys are going, is that it, Russ? Is it? We sit here for this whole show and this is what you got? Well, quite honestly, I wasn't looking to spend a terrible amount of money and nothing else was really jumping out at me. But I did stop at a dealer who had some fantastic books, but they were this close to being picked up. He had the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th issues of the Wolverine Limited series by Frank Miller and Chris Claremont. And as you guys might recall, I am working on a 9/8 run of those 4 issues. I've got issues 1 and 4 as the 9/8s. I've got 9/6s on issues 2 and 3. And I continue looking for really high quality books, and these books were really good, especially that number 3 that this dealer had. It was really nice, but there were a couple things that went on here at the show. This is a new location for Clandestine in Hunt Valley, and this particular ballroom has very low light. It is impossible to really see anything, and unfortunately I didn't bring my UV flashlight that I usually bring with me to shows like this to help me see things a little bit better. I had to rely on the phone light to help light up the spine, and initially it looked really good. But on closer inspection, there were some micro color-breaking spine ticks, very minor. And with the way CGC has been grading these days, they probably would have graded out as a 9.8, maybe. But it could have very easy, in my opinion, probably been closer to a 9.6 just because there were a couple micro color-breaking spine-breaking ticks. And
even though the price was actually really good, I didn't pull the trigger. All three of them were that close. But the uncertainty with the grading at CGC, they've introduced over the last year 9.8. They've been putting out 9.8s, and it seems like their grading has shifted a little bit, and I'm not really sure where it's falling. Looking at it, I probably could have chanced it, but I didn't want to put more money into a book that was going to get a 9.6. I've got my 9.6s, and the prices are so low on a 9.6 that you might as well just go out and buy one if that's what you really want or be satisfied with. So I passed on it, and that's why I ended up back at the dealer I was telling you about. This is, and I can't recall now if I even said the name, but TBC Comics in Crofton, Maryland. And that's why I ended up with this book. This is a book, it was actually one of the first books I saw at the show. It was in the back of some of their really good bins. And they had multiple copies of this. And they had one that was about $65. And it, quite honestly, the spine did not look better than this. It actually looked a little worse. It had a really soft bottom corner. So I kind of put this in the back of the bins and earmarked it mentally to know where to look for. And so when I went back there at the end of the show, I was able to pull it out pretty quick, and they were able to give me a pretty good deal on that. So I'm happy with the one book I picked up for the show. But that wasn't the end of the story. I did talk with the dealer about the possibility of doing a trade, or see what we could come to, because he was interested in one of the books I had featured on one of my shows with the Baltimore Comic-Con. And I'll show you the book. It's a book you guys have seen before. It is a book I have taken with me to a lot of shows to work in as part of a trade, and we'll talk about that. But I took, as he had reached out and he wanted to see the book, and he's still definitely interested in this book, and we talked about what he would pay for cash, what possibly we could do in trade. And we didn't go down too far because, quite honestly, this X-Men 95, The Death of Thunderbird, as a 9.8 right here, it's a really good book. It is, but it's not a super, super big key. I mean, it's obviously not 94 or giant size X-Men #1, but the fact that you've got a 9.8 on this really jacks the price up. Unfortunately, over the last year, that price has come down, so my negotiating chip is getting a little bit smaller, but I'm still willing to part with this book if it's a decent trade. And this is the deal I'm looking for. I want this. It doesn't have to be a 1-to-1 ratio. This could be 1, and I could add a couple things into it, or however, but you want to use this as a bargaining chip for a Hulk 181, whether it's a pretty decent roll or as at least about a 4.5 to 5.0, somewhere in that range, to work towards a deal towards that. So I'm reaching out right now, guys, and that is what I'm asking out there to the public. If you guys know anybody who wants this book, reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com. I almost forgot the email. Or you can leave me a comment in the comment section and just direct message me there, or even on my Instagram account. There's multiple ways you can get in contact with me. But does anybody know who would want a super high grade copy of this book? I don't get it, guys. I talked with dealers at the Heroes Con a year ago and trying to negotiate the same kind of deal. And time after time they don't know if any of their buyers are going to buy this. I've got to find the right client. And so I'm reaching out to you, the general public. Does anybody know anybody who would love this book? Now, I love this book. I've got a lower grade version of this, but it's signed by Chris Claremont, and I think I've got a couple other signatures on there too. I might even have Dave Cochran on there. I have to go back and double check. It's been a while. I don't really need to keep this book in my PC to make my life complete. This is a book right here. I love it, but I'd be willing to trade it towards getting that Hulk 181. And that's what I'm reaching out to the public right now. If you guys know somebody, let me know, definitely. But again, not the end of the story. I ended up talking with TBC, and it's a possibility. Maybe when this video comes out, the deal will already be done and this video will be moot and pointless. But they've actually got a 4.5 at their shop, and they asked me to give them a couple days. They may have a buyer. They are looking for a buyer for me. Hopefully, maybe this buyer might be interested in this. We'll find out. But that was it from the show. I enjoyed it. If you guys definitely want to check them out, if you're in the Maryland area, they happen generally just about once a month in December. When this video comes out, it'll probably be after the next show. But this was the November show. There will be one more in December before the end of the year. And that one should be down in Laurel, Maryland, close to my house. And if you guys show up to the show, definitely look me up. I'll be down there. I'm sure I'll be there. But guys, thank you for listening to the rant. And if you can find anybody for me, let me know. Definitely leave me a comment in the comment section, regardless, one way or the other. Let me know what you think of the book I did pick up, and what do you think about this book as well. Love to hear from you. And if you enjoy this kind of content, definitely hit that like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the content that I put out each and every week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. All right, guys, y'all have a great day. I'll see you for the next show. And remember, every comic has a story.